They used to call every week. Stop by just to say hi. Ask for advice, even if they didn't always take it. Now, the phone is quiet. Visits feel rushed. And that easy closeness you once shared, it feels strained. If you're wondering what changed, you're not alone. And I'll tell you something hard I had to learn the hard way. It wasn't the big arguments. It was the little phrases, words I said without thinking, that quietly pushed my kids away. In this video, I want to share 5 things I used to say as a parent that I deeply regret. Not because I meant harm, but because I didn't realize the damage they were doing. If you're a parent over 60 trying to reconnect, hold on to the bond you have, or simply avoid drifting apart, this is for you. Because it's never too late to change how we speak. And sometimes, one small shift in our words can open the door back to love. They stopped telling me things. At first, I didn't notice. Conversations just got shorter. Details about their life, fewer and fewer. And when I asked questions, I'd get vague answers or quick subject changes. It hurt. I felt shut out, like I was being kept at a distance from my own children. But then I remembered something I used to say, over and over again, without realizing how it landed. You should have done it this way. I thought I was being helpful, offering wisdom, experience, solutions. But what my kids heard was, you don't know what you're doing. Your choices aren't good enough. I don't trust you to handle your life. That realization broke me. Because I wanted to feel close. But my advice came wrapped in criticism, even if I didn't mean it that way. Now, I've learned to say, that sounds like a tough situation. How are you thinking about handling it? It's still a way to show I care. But it respects their independence. It creates space for trust, not tension. And slowly, the conversations are coming back, one story at a time. They visited less and less. At first, I thought they were just busy. Work, kids, life, I understood. But holidays came and went, and I found myself sitting at a table that used to be full. And the hardest part? I didn't realize that I was the reason. Until one day, I replayed a sentence I had said far too often. After everything I've done for you. It came out in moments of hurt. When they forgot to call. When plans were canceled. When I felt invisible. But that phrase, meant to express pain, came across as guilt. It made love feel transactional, like a bill they could never repay. And over time, the house got quieter. Not because they didn't love me, but because they didn't want to feel like they owed me. What I wish I had said was, I'm so proud of the life you've built. I just miss being part of it. It says the same thing, but without the weight of expectation. And once I started using those words, they started showing up again. Not out of guilt, but out of love. They stopped opening up emotionally. They used to tell me everything, the good, the hard, even the messy stuff. But over time, I noticed something shift. They kept things light, surface level, like they were afraid of how I'd react. And eventually, they stopped sharing anything real. Looking back, I see why. Too many times, when they came to me hurting, scared, or unsure, I said, you'll regret this when I'm gone. It came from pain. From a fear of being forgotten. From a longing to matter. But to them, it sounded like emotional blackmail, like I was trying to force closeness through fear. Instead of feeling loved, they felt cornered. I wish I had said, it means so much when you let me in. I want to be someone you can lean on. That invites. It doesn't pressure. It says, I love you now, not just when it's too late. Since making that shift, I've noticed something remarkable. They're starting to come to me again. Not because I demanded it, but because I made space for it. They got defensive around me. I didn't understand it at first. Simple conversations would suddenly turn tense. I'd ask a question, make a comment, and they'd snap or go quiet. I started to wonder, why are they walking on eggshells? Then I remembered something I said too many times without realizing how sharp it sounded. Your spouse is turning you against me. I thought I was naming the elephant in the room. I felt left out, replaced, unsure of my place in their life. But what they heard was an attack, not just on their partner, but on their judgment, their home, their chosen family. And that put them in an impossible position, me or them. The more I pushed, the more they pulled away. I wish I had said, I know life changes when families grow, but I still want to be part of yours. However, that looks now. That shows maturity. It respects their choices, and it invites trust. Since then, I've worked on being a supporter of their life, not a critic of it, and the defenses are slowly coming down. They looked uncomfortable around me. Not angry, not cold, just uneasy. Like they were bracing for something, smiling politely, changing the subject, glancing at the clock. I didn't want to believe it at first, but deep down, I knew. They didn't feel safe being fully themselves with me anymore. And one reason was something I used to say often, even with a smile. In my day, we did things differently. I meant it as a story, a memory. But it always came with a side of quiet judgment. The implication was clear. Our way was better. Yours? Not so much. Every time I said it, I unknowingly drew a line between us. Their parenting choices, their lifestyle, even their technology, it all felt under scrutiny. What I should have said was, things have changed so much. Tell me what it's like for you now. That one phrase does something magical. It invites them to teach me something. It builds a bridge between generations instead of a wall. And when I made that shift, I noticed something subtle but beautiful. They relaxed. Their shoulders dropped. The clock stopped mattering so much. Because suddenly, being around me didn't feel like being measured. It felt like being seen. Looking back hurts. But it also heals. None of these phrases came from hate. They came from love, mixed with fear, frustration, and loneliness. But love, wrapped in guilt or judgment, still wounds. And I didn't see that until the silence grew louder than the words ever did. If any part of this feels familiar to you, I want you to know, you're not a bad parent. You're a human one. And you're not alone. Because the truth is, relationships don't break all at once. They chip away word by word. But here's the hope. They can be rebuilt the same way. One better phrase. One softer moment. One open-hearted choice at a time. You can't rewrite what was said, but you can write what comes next. Let's finish this together. If you're still here, then maybe you've said some of these things too, and maybe, like me, you wish you could go back and say them differently. But here's what I've learned. You don't need a perfect past to create a better future. What matters is what you say next. So tell me in the comments, which phrase hit hardest? Or what have you been holding back that you're ready to say now? And if this video helped you feel seen, please subscribe. We're building a space where older voices aren't silenced, they're strengthened. Where relationships aren't over, they're evolving. And where every parent who wants to grow closer still has time. Because regret doesn't have to be the end of the story. It can be the beginning of a deeper one.